Ladies and gentlemen, today's guest is the 6-0 Stewart Nicoll. He takes on Dan Moodley at Beatdown Promotions 5 at Eaton Hills Hotel, Saturday, 16th of September. You can see it on YouTube. All you got to do is subscribe to Beatdown Promotions, and I believe tickets are still available, so head to beatdownpromotions.com.au or .com. I don't know, you'll find it. But of course, Beatdown Promotions, UFC Ryzen vet, Damian Brown, he's appeared on this show many times. He puts on a stellar card and a stellar promotion, and I think it's going to soon rival, if not already, it's going to rival Hex and Eternal in the very near future. And I think we will have a big three when it comes to MMA promotions in the sort of current era that we're in. But yeah, Stewart Nicoll is he's a very successful flyweight. He's been questioned at times of certain guys that he sort of hasn't gotten in the cage with yet. But look, I asked him about that and his trajectory. Everyone highly rates his skills. His record will get there. I mean, like we said, he's undefeated 6-0. But look, he even comments on the Eternal MMA flyweight championship, Frank Jankowski taking on Anthony Drillich. Stewart Nicoll talks the difficulties of finding fights, of course, the ultimate goal. It's a nice chat. It's good. You really get to know. I didn't know much about Stewart Nicoll. I don't claim to know everything about every fighter, but hey, I'm learning along the road with you guys. And look, Stewart Nicoll is definitely a name you should know because he's got a hell of a future and a pretty impressive presence right now. So look, before we get into it, like I said, hit up Beatdown Promotions for tickets, or go subscribe to them on YouTube and you'll be able to watch the event live. We also chat about, stick around, because we chat about, you often hear about people, especially in the crowd, pubs, wherever, they think they could beat a flyweight just because they're a little bit bigger than them. So we get Stewart Nicoll's thoughts on that as well. So that's a very, very interesting chat. But guys, without further ado, if you're still stuck around listening, Stewart Nicoll. Ladies and gentlemen, joining me on the show, the man that will be taking on Dan Moodley, Beatdown Promotions 5, Eaton Hills Hotel, September 16th for Beatdown Promotions 5. The one and only Stewart Nicoll. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Mitch.
Now, mate, you've been running a ruckus in the flyweight division. First of all, do you feel like you are underappreciated and undervalued in Australian MMA?
Yeah, maybe it's hard to say. There's not many flyweights in Australia. It's actually crazy. There's 20 active flyweights in Australia. You know, if you look at Japan or something, it's like 600. Like I was looking at it last night. It's like crazy because that's sort of where we've been at. The last 3 opponents have been from overseas. So that's sort of what we're looking at, in the future as well. So I keep my eyes out, different countries, and like every other country just stacked with flyweights. So, it is what it is. Like there's just not many flyweights in Australia. So it's not a stacked division. So, fair play that, if I'm not, whatever, recognized or whatever, it is what it is.
Which is quite interesting because one of the sort of hottest Australian prospects in recent the last couple of months or so was Stephen Erceg, who was a hell of a flyweight. As a flyweight, are you competitive or are you like, yeah, Stephen, like get the flyweight name out there?
No, I'm round of applause to Stephen Erceg. It's beautiful, like what he did in his last fighting. I think at the time he was ranked number 10, I believe.
Yeah.
The guy he fought. How good is that? Like I was, me and my wife were like, when we got the news, we're like, man, that's amazing. Like I'm just stoked for him. It's good for me. Like it's good, like showing Australian MMA, it's good for everyone, Australian MMA that what was it, like a week's notice? I can't remember. Like he didn't have a whole great deal of notice and went out there, beat ranked number 10. Hats off to Stephen Erceg. And no, I'm not. Yeah, a round of applause to him. Like I'm, massive fan of what he's doing.
Is there anyone sort of that you're keeping an eye on? Of course, you've got Drillich and Jankowski fighting for the eternal flyweight belt, but are you keeping an eye on the Australian regional scene, or are you just looking international from now on?
No, no, absolutely. The scene in Australia is actually popping off in the next, couple of months. Like we got, I think, 5 out of the top 6 or something fighting soon. Like, how good is that? So, there's a lot of moving pieces now. So you just gotta, get through this weekend, and if all goes well, regardless, we'll make plans. Depending on where all the pieces fall. We've got heaps of guys fighting in the next like couple of months. All the top 6 guys. So we'll just see what happens. And this is like there's always pullouts and stuff. So like I'm ready to jump back in.
Now, do you feel the pressure that, I mean, you've had guys brought in to fight before. Do you feel the pressure of not just to win, but to put on a show?
Yes. Yeah, I do. But like it's been pretty easy now with the transitions I've made. Like with my style of fighting, transition more into ground and pound and stuff, and I think that gets the crowd going a bit more, like trying to elbow someone's head into pieces. So I think people like that. So that's it's not something I have to worry about anymore. It's just like part of the game plan actually, is to elbow people's heads in. So it gets the crowd going. So.
And speaking of pressure, I mean, being undefeated as you climb, you 1-0, you're like, all right, great, cool. 2-0, like as you start to climb the 6-0, 7-0, 8-0, does the pressure get to you to sort of maintain that great record and look good for the next level? Or do you seriously not put too much stock in the record?
Probably the last couple of fights, last couple of years, I've sort of definitely changed my mindset on that sort of thing. It's I'm just trying to get better, and just the goal isn't really like I'm not. If I lose this weekend, it's not the end of the world. I just keep training, keep getting better, and fight the next guy. Like I have my goals, like a loss isn't going to stop me from getting to my goals. So I kind of like I'm able to take the pressure away a little bit, knowing that I lost here, lost there. That's part of life, and just accepting that. That's allowed me, that mindset's allowed me to take a lot of pressure off. And as long as I go out there and perform my best, then I'm happy. Like no matter what the result is, and it's MMA. Like you zig when you're supposed to zag and get knocked out. Like anything can happen. 4-ounce gloves. So I've come to peace with that. Definitely early on, like definitely my first few fights, I was like, I got to win. But last couple of fights, I've gone in there going, whatever happens. As long as I do my best, no matter what happens, my family's still gonna love me, and all that sort of thing. So it doesn't bother me so much anymore. I don't really think about it too much.
How close have you been to getting matchups with Jankowski's, Drillich's, or Mini T Williams when he was here? Have those names ever come across you at all?
No. I think Mini T like transitioned to ONE FC pretty early on.
Yeah.
Maybe he was like 2 fights in or something. Jankowski's just coming up. I think he's 3-0 now. Drillich is a bantamweight. He's been down to fight flyweight for this title. So those names have never come across like our team. So I don't know what. I imagine Mini T's still fighting on ONE FC, so he's not on the table. But Drillich and Jankowski, definitely see what happens with that, or see what happens with all the guys fighting shortly.
How far from the top do you believe you are?
Top of like what?
In terms of just in terms of like, obviously the goal I can only imagine is the UFC and whatnot. How far away do you feel?
We did put our name in the hat. It was a pretty long shot, but when Kai Kara France pulled out, I was like, hell yeah, let's go! Like we sent a message out to the team and just put the name in the hat. But I bet that hat was filled with hundreds of names in the UFC already. But it was a local event. I was like, hey, worth a try.
Did you at least know what hat to send it to? Like, do you know if it actually at least got in front of someone important?
Yeah, we got a message back and stuff and saying, yeah, just like they want to see some more wins against some like good records and stuff. So there's communication there. So now I just got to tick the boxes, have impressive performance. They'll definitely help this weekend. And yeah, but we got a reply and but yeah, like I said, I bet that hat was pretty filled with heaps of names that already in the UFC, already signed, already got all their stuff sorted. Yeah, so it didn't happen, but one can wish, one can dream, and one can try.
No, that's cool. That's cool. And speaking of your opponent, Dan Shield Moodley, do you know much about him? I mean, how does a guy, I believe he's number 2 ranked in South Africa. So how does that fight even come about?
He was after a fight. I think he must be struggling to get a fight in Australia. Like he's, had a lot of international experience. He's got a good record, fought some really tough guys, beaten some good guys, like the last one he had against ex-UFC fighter. So I imagine maybe he's been having a hard time getting a fight. But yeah, like he's actually got the same management as one of the guys I train with, like Elliot. And so yeah, Elliot actually mentioned it to me first, and then Damien Brown sent me that name as well. And I was like, oh, cool. And then yeah, looked into him, and I was like, oh, this is the opponent, like high level, great record. This is the guy that I need to beat.
Mate, in terms of mixed martial arts, I mean, like we said, you only turned pro, I believe, 2018. What got you into mixed martial arts to begin with?
I was always fascinated with like fighting, I guess, watching WWE growing up, and 3 brothers and stuff, and we're always wrestling, if you will, on the trampoline and just in the house. There's holes in the walls and stuff where I've been suplexed and through a wall, off the bed, off the mattress. I've always been into fighting. And then my uncle, who's a boxer, showed me an MMA fight. And it was Fedor Emelianenko versus Hongman Choi. Well, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but yeah, essentially, I don't know what the difference may be, like maybe 40 kilos in weight difference. And Fedor armbarred him in the first round, and I was like, damn, I need to learn that. Like, I would have been 13 at the time or so. And I was probably like, I don't know, 45 kilos or something, like just tiny, still tiny. But I was just like, man, I need to learn that. Like, I can like beat anyone up. So yeah, that's kind of what got me into it, was seeing that fight and going like, oh yeah, like that's legit. Like that, that's the way to fight. And then yeah, found judo for a little bit, and then found a jiu-jitsu school when I was like 15. Yeah, local jiu-jitsu school, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and then yeah, I just stuck with jiu-jitsu for a while until I was ready to make the transition.
Do you get frustrated with, I mean, because you see it online before, there was that Bradley Martin, that massive bodybuilder guy that thought he could take out Demetrius Johnson because he was like 120 kilos and Demetrius like fights at, like 61. So 57. So do you as a flyweight, do you have to come across that a bit?
Yeah, I do. Like I used to do I used to be well, I am still, I guess, like an electrician, and do air conditioning as well. And yeah, just on job sites and stuff, you always get that sort of thing. But I think that's just like part of Australian banter and that sort of thing. I get people telling me they just lay on me and stuff, like, oh yeah, I'll just sit on you, mate, and you won't be able to get up and all that kind of stuff. And I always encourage it. I'm like, yeah, you're right, you would. Like, and try to actually like I don't know, build their confidence, and like, because I know like I'm almost certain that's not the case. Like it's like I train with big guys. I've always trained with big guys. Like probably the average weight in my gym starting out was like probably like 95 kilos. Like if you just took the average. And I was like, when I started out, I was like 55. So and I hold my own sort of thing. So like I've competed in open weight divisions. I've won absolute division. I've won many absolute divisions. I've beaten like probably the most notable name would be Euros. Who's like probably one of the best heavyweights in Australia. Like he's winning a lot of comps. And I beat him. It's like, I don't know. If you look at him, he's just a monster. Like Euros is just like built like a Greek god, like a walking Dorito. Like he's huge, and you look at that guy, and everyone would say they're scared of that guy, but yeah, then they look at me and go, "Oh, no, that guy sucks." Like I just lay on him. It's like, oh, well, yeah. I don't know. I do get it. Doesn't bother me at all. I encourage it. Yeah.
At what weight and what belt do you think it starts to get tricky? Like a 6'5", 120 kilo blue belt? Are you going, nah, I'm still smoking him?
In grappling, you're talking about
just we'll go fight in general. Like, is there a level where there's a guy that's like 7 foot, there's 130 kilos, and he's done like a year of boxing, and you're like, okay, you might be a little bit tricky.
Yeah, definitely. Like, make no qualms about it. When it comes to fighting as well, it is different than grappling, like 100%. Yeah, like when it comes to fighting, strikes and stuff, like they can hit a lot harder and all that sort of stuff. And fights are generally pretty fast paced, and so yeah, like definitely becomes way more like if you're bigger and stronger, like in a real fight, they have way more of a shot. Yeah,
it's cool. I like it. But you're very humble, but also like you're confident. Like you know what's up.
it's one of those things too. Like I'd love to see that play out, like Bobby Martin and Demetrius Johnson, because you just don't like, you just got to see it. I have my thoughts on it, and I'm sure a lot of people do. Like, it seems to be the hot topic. But yeah, you just gotta you just gotta see it play out. That'd be freaking awesome. That'd be awesome to see that.
Well, speaking of playing out, how do you see this Dan Shield-Moodley fight on Beatdown Promotions 5? How do you see that going?
Yeah, I think it's gonna be pretty action-packed fight. I've watched a lot of film on him. His last few fights, he's shown like a lot of improvement with his striking. Training out of ATT with the Mokhtarian brothers there. I'd assume that's sort of attributed to his improvements. He's come a long way in his striking. And I was like, oh wow, like, because when I first watched his fights, I could only get footage on certain fights. I had to pay for a subscription and that to watch his response. Yeah. I'm brave. Yeah, like he wrestled a lot. Like all of his wins have been by decision. He'd wrestle like a lot in his fights, a lot of cage wrestling. But then in his last 2 fights, he showed much better striking, more patience and stuff, a lot of movement. I was like, oh, okay, like it's gonna be a different fight then. Like than I initially thought. I thought like that was his thing. Was his bread and butter was just to wrestle. But yeah, he's got good striking. So I don't know. So he's well rounded. I like to think I'm well rounded. So it's just gonna be a well-rounded MMA fight. I'm going to try to walk him down. He's going to be moving around, using that footwork that he does so well. Try to walk him down, beat him up on the feet, take him down, beat him up on the ground, rinse and repeat.
Love it.
That's the plan, anyways.
Now, mate, I know you're going to get out of here. So before I let you go, I just wanted to ask you, after it's all said and done, how does Stewie Nicoll want to be remembered in mixed martial arts?
That's a great question. Yeah, I want to take it as far as I can. Yeah, I want to be a UFC champion. Yeah, I want to be remembered as one of the best to do it. That's the goal. And, you gotta dream big.